There is a temperature difference between daytime and nighttime air that exists in virtually every climate zone on the planet. Even in regions where daytime highs reach 100 degrees, nighttime temperatures typically drop 20 to 30 degrees as the sun sets and radiant heat escapes to the atmosphere. That temperature swing represents free cooling capacity sitting outside your windows every single night for approximately 8 to 10 hours. Your home can absorb that coolness, store it in walls and furnishings, and release it slowly throughout the following day, reducing or eliminating the need for air conditioning during peak afternoon hours when electricity rates are highest and grid demand pushes your costs up. This principle is called night flushing or night ventilation. Architects have designed around it for thousands of years. Traditional Middle Eastern homes used it to maintain comfortable interiors without any mechanical cooling. European builders incorporated it into thermal mass structures that stayed cool through summer days after absorbing night air. And American homeowners used it routinely until the 1960s, when cheap electricity and ubiquitous air conditioning made people forget that opening windows at strategic times could eliminate hundreds of dollars in cooling costs every single summer. The practice did not disappear because it stopped working. It vanished because a population that cools homes naturally for free cannot be sold expensive HVAC equipment, cannot generate recurring service revenue, and cannot justify utility rate structures built on peak demand consumption that night flushing eliminates completely. Right now, the average American household spends approximately $430 per year on air conditioning, according to data published by the U.S. Energy Information Administration. That figure represents cooling costs alone, not heating or other electrical usage. In southern states like Arizona, Texas, and Florida, annual cooling costs frequently exceed $800 due to longer seasons and higher temperatures. A significant portion of that expense occurs during peak demand hours, typically between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., when outdoor temperatures reach daily maximums, and millions of air conditioners run simultaneously. Utilities charge higher rates during peak periods because generating capacity must expand to meet demand. Time of use rate structures can double or triple the cost per kilowatt hour during those 5 hours compared to overnight rates. A homeowner running AC from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. pays substantially more than running identical equipment from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., even though both consume the same total energy. The rate difference is not about consumption, it is about timing. Peak demand costs more because grid infrastructure must be sized to handle maximum simultaneous load, which occurs on hot afternoons when everyone cools their homes at once. Let us go back to when this was understood as simple household management rather than forgotten knowledge. In the early 20th century, before residential air conditioning existed, families in hot climates developed systematic approaches to keeping homes cool. The method was straightforward and universal. Close all windows and draw heavy curtains or shutters at sunrise to trap cool morning air inside and block solar heat gain. Keep the house sealed completely throughout the day as outdoor temperatures climb. As soon as outside air temperature drops below inside air temperature, typically between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. depending on season and location, open every window and door fully. Position fans in windows to actively pull cool night air through the entire house. Let that air flush out accumulated heat for the next 8 to 10 hours overnight. By sunrise, interior temperatures have dropped to match outdoor lows, often reaching the mid-60s even after days exceeding 95 degrees. Close everything again at first light. The cool air trapped inside, absorbed by walls, floors, furniture, and every thermal mass in the structure, keeps interior temperatures comfortable well into the afternoon. The house does not reach uncomfortable levels until 3 p.m. or later. By then, outdoor temperatures are already beginning their descent toward evening. You endure perhaps 2 to 3 hours of moderate warmth before the cycle repeats. Compare that to running air conditioning 16 hours per day, fighting both outdoor heat and internal heat gain from sealed buildings baking in the sun. This is not nostalgic folklore. This is applied thermodynamics validated by building science research published continuously over decades. Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory conducted extensive studies on night ventilation effectiveness in residential buildings. Homes that implemented night flushing reduced daytime cooling loads by 40 to 60% compared to sealed homes relying entirely on mechanical cooling. Interior peak temperatures stayed 8 to 12 degrees cooler through afternoon hours. The reduction came purely from leveraging free overnight cooling and thermal mass buffering. A study in California measured identical homes with and without night flushing strategies. The home using night ventilation consumed 62% less cooling energy over a 3-month summer period. Annual savings exceeded $480 on a typical cooling bill. The home remained comfortably cool using minimal air conditioning, running the system perhaps 2 hours daily during the hottest afternoons. The comparison home ran AC 12 to 14 hours daily, maintaining similar comfort. Both homes housed families with identical schedules and preferences. The only variable was intentional use of nighttime temperature differentials. But here is where the story becomes uncomfortable for utility companies and HVAC manufacturers simultaneously. Night flushing works best in climates with significant diurnal temperature variation, meaning regions where nighttime lows drop at least 15 degrees below daytime highs. This describes most of the western United States, mountain states, high desert areas, and even many coastal zones where marine air brings cool nights. Essentially, anywhere outside the Deep South and Gulf Coast has adequate temperature swing to make night flushing effective. That represents approximately 70% of U.S. housing stock. If 70% of American homes adopted night flushing and reduced cooling energy by 50%, residential cooling consumption would drop by 35% nationally. Utilities would lose billions in summer peak demand revenue. HVAC manufacturers would sell smaller systems because cooling loads would decrease. Service calls would decline because equipment would run half as often and experience less wear. The entire industry profit model depends on maximum consumption during maximum cost periods. Night flushing disrupts that completely by shifting cooling to free nighttime hours and reducing total demand through thermal storage. You were taught that air conditioning is the only civilized way to stay cool in summer. You were told that opening windows wastes cooled air and increases costs. You were never informed that strategic window operation synchronized with temperature cycles can eliminate the majority of mechanical cooling needs. The information stayed buried beneath decades of advertising promoting larger AC units, higher efficiency ratings, and smart thermostats that optimize expensive systems rather than questioning whether those systems are necessary in the first place. Cheap, abundant electricity made convenience the priority. Efficiency meant better equipment, not eliminating equipment entirely. The option to cool your home naturally for free never entered mainstream conversation because nobody profits from teaching you to open windows. Here is exactly how you implement night flushing starting tonight. Check your local weather forecast for today's high and tonight's low. If the difference is at least 15 degrees, conditions are suitable. Calculate the crossover point when outdoor temperature drops below your current indoor temperature. This typically occurs between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. depending on season. Set an alarm or reminder for that time. When outdoor temperature drops below indoor, open windows on opposite sides of your home to create cross-ventilation. Open windows on the lowest floor and highest floor if you have multiple stories. Hot air naturally rises and exits through upper windows while cool air enters through lower openings. Position box fans in windows facing outward on the upper floor. Set them to exhaust hot indoor air. Position fans facing inward on the lower floor. Set them to pull cool outdoor air inside. This creates forced air exchange that flushes your entire home in 30 to 60 minutes instead of relying on passive airflow. Let the system run all night. If you worry about security, open windows that are protected by screens and locks. If you worry about noise, use earplugs or white noise machines. The cooling benefit outweighs minor inconveniences when you realize each night of flushing saves $2 to $4 in avoided air conditioning costs. Close all windows at sunrise or when you wake, whichever comes first. Draw curtains or blinds on east and south facing windows to block direct sunlight. Your home is now filled with air at outdoor low temperature, typically mid-60s to low 70s. That air, plus the thermal mass of your walls and furnishings cooled overnight, will keep your home comfortable until early afternoon. Monitor indoor temperature through the day. When it reaches your discomfort threshold, typically around 76 to 78 degrees for most people, turn on air conditioning briefly to supplement. You may need AC for 2 to 4 hours during peak afternoon heat. Compare that to running AC continuously from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., which is typical in homes that never open windows. The savings are immediate and dramatic. A family in Nevada implemented night flushing throughout summer. Their home, a typical suburban ranch with good insulation, previously required AC running from noon until 11 p.m. daily to maintain comfort. Monthly electricity bills during June, July, and August averaged $220. They began opening all windows from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. every night. Fans pulled cool desert air through the house for 9 hours. By morning, indoor temperature was 68 degrees. The house stayed below 76 degrees until 3 p.m. without any cooling. They ran AC from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. only, 4 hours instead of 11. Monthly summer bills dropped to $95. They saved $125 per month, $375 over the summer. Over 10 summers, $3,750 saved by opening windows at night. Pair night flushing with basic thermal mass strategies and performance improves further. Thermal mass materials like concrete, brick, stone, tile, and even water absorb and store coolness. If your home has tile floors, hardwood, or concrete, those surfaces absorb cool night air and release it slowly during the day, buffering temperature swings. You can add thermal mass deliberately. Place large containers of water in cool corners or closets. Water has extremely high thermal mass. 20 gallons of water in your basement or interior closet absorbs significant coolness overnight and radiates it slowly the next day. Some homeowners use decorative concrete planters filled with stones positioned near windows where night air flows past them. The mass cools overnight and helps maintain lower daytime temperatures. These additions cost almost nothing but measurably improve night flushing effectiveness. In homes with attics, vent the attic space aggressively at night. Hot air trapped in attics radiates downward through ceiling insulation even in well-insulated homes. Open attic vents, use powered attic fans, or install ridge vents that exhaust hot attic air continuously. Cool the attic to outdoor temperature each night. This prevents heat stored in roofing materials from migrating into living spaces the following day. Combining night flushing with attic venting creates a comprehensive thermal management system that keeps homes comfortable without air conditioning in climates with adequate temperature swings. For humid climates where nighttime temperatures remain high, night flushing becomes less effective but still provides benefit. Coastal areas often experience marine layer cooling, where ocean breezes drop temperatures 10 to 15 degrees overnight despite high humidity. Open windows during those hours. The air feels less refreshing due to humidity, but still carries less total heat energy than daytime air. You may need supplemental dehumidification, but cooling loads still decrease. Gulf Coast and Deep South regions with minimal diurnal swing and high humidity are the only areas where night flushing provides limited benefit. Even there, using nighttime hours to run AC at lower cost under time of use rates saves money compared to peak period operation. Adjust night flushing intensity based on forecasts. On nights following extremely hot days, flush aggressively with fans running at full speed for hours. On milder days, passive airflow through open windows may suffice without fans. Learn your home's thermal behavior. Track how long it takes indoor temperature to rise from morning low to afternoon discomfort threshold. Homes with significant thermal mass stay cool longer. Homes with large windows and poor insulation heat faster. Tailor your approach to your specific structure. The goal is not perfection. The goal is reducing AC runtime by 50 to 70%, which translates directly to equivalent cost savings. The knowledge did not disappear because it stopped being effective. It was systematically displaced by technologies that generate higher profit margins for manufacturers, installers, and utilities. Your grandparents opened windows at night and closed them during the day because it worked and cost nothing. Their parents did the same. For millennia, humans adapted to diurnal temperature cycles through behavioral adjustments rather than energy-intensive mechanical intervention. Then cheap electricity and aggressive appliance marketing convinced 2 generations that only constant indoor climate control was acceptable. But the physics never changed. Night air still cools. Thermal mass still stores temperature. Strategic ventilation still eliminates the majority of cooling costs in appropriate climates. The science remains valid, accessible, and vastly more economical than the systems marketed relentlessly for 60 years. If this information just revealed $300 in annual cooling savings using temperature differences that occur naturally every night, share it with someone paying $200 monthly for air conditioning in a climate where nights drop to 65 degrees. Every person who adopts night flushing is one less customer maximizing peak demand consumption. Every home that cools naturally is a permanent break from the profit cycle. The next buried method addresses something even more fundamental about appliance operation timing, and what it reveals will permanently change how you think about when you run dishwashers, washing machines, and water heaters to cut costs by half without using them any less.